So my name is Michał. I work at IG currently as a senior front-end developer, and I'm here to talk about Lerna and Monorepo approach. So anyone excited about Lerna and Monorepo? Some people, yeah, okay. And is anybody of you used this Monorepo approach before or using it right now? Oh, very, okay, some people, nice. Yeah, so let's do it. So first of all, a simple definition that's taken from Wikipedia, so it should be right, I guess. So Monorepo is a software development strategy where code for many projects are stored in the same repository. So basically, what we would have with Monorepo, you pack all your stuff into one repo, and that's it, you got it. But not exactly. Bear with me here. So why we actually talk about it? What's the problem with your standard multi-repo? Why you would do it in your production environment? So first of all, the way we started in my current company, the why we started it is we got a lot of npm linking. So we have one core project and two dependencies, which were separate repositories back then, and we need to constantly link it because this dependency was often pulled into our main project, right? So we need to npm link it again, build it again, develop it again, and that whole process takes ages. So we think, why not fix it, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is separate build plans running very long. So in our currently, I think our build process is like 20 minutes. So imagine you need to rebuild your dependency again, test it, run the test, linting, all that stuff. And imagine if you have like multiple dependencies, this whole build process of each of the packages takes very long. So with Monorepo, you don't have that. You basically can build one project and have it all working very fast, up and running. Next one, multiple review QA processes needed. Yeah, that's a really bottleneck in terms of a team management. So your QAs still the same as a point upper. They need to test it again. They need to test it, get the whole process of testing and processing and reviewing even. Each time they need that you like making changes in one of your packages, one of your dependencies, right? So same again, with Monorepo you don't have that, and we'll talk about it in a minute. Next one, difficult testing. It's debatable, but I think the testing is difficult because you need to mock your dependency basically in each of your projects, right? So you end up having like a couple of mocks in different places, or having a couple of tests in different places. So it's unified with the Lerna. So we will again learn in a minute. And no unified approach, yeah. So you can have 3 projects or 4 projects which are dependent on each other, and you end up having a problem when one of it is written in some way, one of the other is written in a different way. For example, linting, different rules, or different configs, whatever. So you can make lost in this kind of chain of different configurations. So we don't have that with Monorepo, right? So it's not great, but not terrible. It's a probably most popular approach now. Everybody uses the multiple repositories in your companies, right? So it's working for years now. So it's not great, but it can be better, really. So solution for the problems, for these problems I listed, is the Monorepo approach. Yeah. First of all, it's easy to maintain. So I mentioned when you have a couple packages which are dependent on each other, it's very hard, and you can be easily lost in the searching of your code or whatever files. With this, you have all in one place, all in one repository. You get nice diffs between files in the pull request or wherever. There's way easier maintaining of the thing, and you have. In the business level, you're not business guys, but in the business level, you have easier sort of distinguishing between the packages, and you know this project belongs to this team, they work on it, there is this repository for their team, and not like 5 repositories and don't know who work on what, right? Much quicker development, yeah. So npm start, and you're good to go, right? All of your packages are inside. You don't need to run, as I mentioned before, you don't need to run the separate packages in your second terminal window or whatever. All is connected. All is really sort of hermetically closed, right? So it's way easier to develop. Your team can work on this one repository. You don't need to switch repositories often. The whole process is way easier. Easy testing. Again, debatable. Depends how you do it. But yeah, imagine you can basically do whatever you want, because this is like one file structure. You can place your mocks or your tests in a folder and all will work. You can chain the test. So actually with Lerna, you can run the one command which will run all the tests from all packages. So underneath, it basically, when you're doing npm test or Lerna test, quote unquote, the Lerna will run all npm tests for each package, from each package JSON, basically. So that's very easy, and that's very cool. And you can run other commands, like combine all npm commands into one command and run all of it. So it's easy testing. Next one, unified process. Yeah, as I mentioned before, you got your QA happy now because he can just run your project, either it's remotely or locally, and he have all of it in one place, up and running right now with newest version. So we currently in company, we struggle with often when we need to link this external dependency from external repository with specific version. So that was kind of a bottleneck again. So the QAs were lost, which versions are connected to the main project currently. So in a minute, I will show you package.json, how it looks like and how versioning works. But yeah, for the QA and even for the developers, when you have a pull request, you don't need to look for hundreds, maybe not hundreds, yeah, depends how many packages you have. A couple of pull requests, search for them and look and review your code of your friend. You have your one nice pull request with all these dependent packages. And it's easily sorted by the Lerna structure, the file structure, which I will learn in a minute. So it's not get lost easily, but it's very nicely light for your eyes to review. So the whole process is way easier. Yeah, and that's the last one. Arguably better versioning. So with Lerna or with Monorepo approach overall, you have fixed or independent versioning. So you have your main package, let's say it's version 3.0, right? And you have this dependency which this main project is using, and you can make it fixed. So all of your dependencies are the same version. So you actually know which version is connected now, which version of this package is in production, wherever, because you can clearly see, and there's one aligned version. Or you can easily change it in config to independent. So your package can still be maintaining its own version, not connected to the main one, to the main project. So that's debatable, because some people like the aligned versions, some not. It's very dependent on what's your project and how you want to present these packages to the world, because you can. You'll learn in a minute. Yeah, let's talk about stack. So in the end of this presentation, I have a little link for the boilerplate I did with Lerna, which all of these amazing configurations. So this is a stack for it, and I think it's very, very nicely done. So npm is the first one, of course. You need it for installing Lerna. Then is Lerna itself. It's an open source project. It's free. It's very heavily developed currently. So it's active. It's has a very nice support. So I would say it's production ready. No chances. That's not. It's really cool. And then we have React, of course. And there is not ejected CRA. So that's a trick part, because I used create React app, which is CRA, and you can eject it and make a little mess in your files. But and you should actually eject it to make it work with the Lerna. So the React looks out for the other dependencies. But in this solution, it's very clean. You don't need to do it. You don't need to eject it. It's actually done with but the next thing, React App Rewired. So it's a little add-on that allows you to change Webpack configuration of CRA, because CRA, as you probably know, runs Webpack underneath. To change this configuration of Webpack, that the Webpack sees files over the folder of React itself. And you need to eject it, which is cool. TypeScript, because everyone loves, everybody loves TypeScript here? Just, yeah, hell yeah. TypeScript is cool. So it's helpful, and you got TypeScript in our stack here, so it's working, and it's fine, it's all right. Then Jest and Enzyme, probably you know this is a test runner and renderer for test, basically. So you still have it running in Lerna, and all of the dependencies, all of these packages, you can call it, so sub-packages of your main project uses the same stack, which is worth mentioning. So same with Jest and same with Enzyme. All of it uses both of them successfully. And ESLint, of course, with TypeScript, because who would not love that? And that's the juice of it. That's the main slide, I would say. So here's the structure. Here's a file structure of Monorepo, example one, which I prepared in my GitHub in the boilerplate I mentioned. So let's look at it, right? You have Monorepo folder, which has this ESLint RC, which is, of course, your ESLint configuration with all rules and whatnot. Then we have Jest config, which is config for Jest, again. Lerna JSON, there you have your version management setting, I would say, which is fixed or independent, as I mentioned. And in Lerna JSON, you already have a project version, the other way. Project version, which automatically updates when you're publishing and sort of releasing with Lerna, which we learn in a minute. License, package log, that's not relevant. Package JSON. Setup test.js, this is a Enzyme testing configuration file, which is all shared with these folders above. And tsconfig JSON, which is important, of course. You have your main tsconfig file in here in the root category. And let's go to the packages, because there it's getting more interesting. So we got the React app, which is your standard CRA React app. As you see, it's very clean. There's no ejecting, no mess files or whatever. And let's start with the tsconfig JSON in the React app package. So that is nice because, bam, it's very simple. You got nothing because this file actually extends the main file from the root category where you have all your configurations. So that's what I mean by saying it's unified. So it's very nice. You only have it out there for building folder where the build package lies after you build it. But yeah, the first line is very sexy, I would say. You extend the main tsconfig and all is good to go. Let's get back. So again, in the React app, you have a file called config overrides, which is all of this trick with telling React to see the other packages, because you see the components folder, it's outside of this React app. And by default, Webpack does not see these components, and you can't hook up a whole module reloading, anything like that. But this config overrides, which you will see in a minute, because I will show you, does the job changing this React configuration, the Webpack configuration of React without ejecting it. So we have clean and nice structure. And components folder, in the SRC, you basically would have your React components, TS6 files, which is TypeScript React files, and that's it. And maybe tests for the components, like snapshot testing, whatever. But it's light outside. It's a different package. You see each of these packages have its own package.json file. So it's a different package, but it's actually connected with your React nicely with HMR, which is host module reloading. Yeah, so there's config, so does. That is the file I talked about a minute ago. So it's easy. You use this customize CRA or React app write, how you call it, npm module, and you basically overwrite only the config you need to overwrite. You don't need the whole Webpack config. You just pull out the needed configuration for this module rules, as you can see, and you're changing it, deleting the rules, existing rules in the CRA, and now after that, our React app successfully can see the other folder with components. Yeah, and that's the package.json for, as you can see, components. Take a look for the namespace, for the name. That's another great feature, which I'll show you in a minute. And that's the whole package.json. It's not cut out. It's the whole thing. It's very simple. It's very easy, very readable. And as you can see, there's no dependencies in here. What if you want to use like jest, right? Where is it? Actually, all of your dependencies are in the main root package.json of your monorepo. And then there's another very big plus of it. So you have just one version of each dependency very nicely listed in your root package.json. So you don't have different, for like example, jest 24 point something something, and in other package you have different version. You just have one version of it across all of your whole project, which is very nice. Yeah, so it's very clean, very easy. And I draw a little something here. So it's like an overview of this example monorepo. So you have your React app, which is like a core package of your project. It's done with CRA, as we talked before. And then this React app sort of picking out the other packages, which one of the packages can be React components with TS6 files, as I showed you before. Other can be services, so you can put your services in a different package. Actually, we've done this in our company. So other teams may use your services, and they don't need to clone your repository. They can just, boom, download it from npm, because all of these packages from Lerna, as I mentioned, they have its own package.json files. So it can be separately published into npm, your local npm or public npm, whatever. So that's very cool. And you can easily share them across your company, internally or externally, how you want it. So that's very easy. And this is all in one repository, which is very cool. Yet separated. Yeah. And bonus is, you can have another React app even. And there was a crazy stuff in our company back in the day when we have Angular 1 hooked up with 3 React apps when we sort of trying to replace Angular with React. So we have a big project and we don't want to like basically switch it for React in a second. We gradually replaced it with React smaller apps, and we still have Angular shell. So you can do it with Lerna, and there's no problem. And it's very actually easy. We done that very quickly, and it's in prod, and it's working, and we almost switched to React. So I recommend it. Yeah, now about the usage, how you set up and how you're using or how you use the Lerna itself. And it's painfully easy. Just install Lerna as your global module to use it in your terminal. Do Lerna in it, so it pulls out your, a little sort of wizard, so you can basically stupidly tell the Lerna what you want. Is it fixed version, for example, independent version, all that stuff. And you're actually ready to go. And this is a very important command, which is bootstrap. Lerna bootstrap is doing npm install underneath, and it's linking all your stuff together, all your packages together. So when you have your project configured with all the dependencies, you don't do npm install. You do Lerna bootstrap, and you're ready to go. it's do all the magic inside. And when you pull the new dependency inside, you do Lerna Bootstrap again, and that's it. You don't need to do it like every time, right? And it's hoist, so meaning all the dependencies are aligned. All dependencies are in one place, which is root package JSON, which I really like. And the next thing, Lerna publish. So you can, that's what I said, meaning you can sort of connect your commands from package JSON, from each package JSON of each package. So Lerna publish will actually run npm publish for each of your packages and publish all your stuff into some npm repository locally or externally, which is really cool. And you can exactly do Lerna test exactly like here, which Lerna test will run all npm tests in each package at once, which is cool. Yeah, let's talk about benefits now. So kind of summarize this. Dependency management. Yeah, so as you can see, you have components dependency here, which has some version. And that's really nice because each package is actually treated as an npm module. So if you want to pull your components into your React app, in the React app package JSON, you just add namespace components, which is really easy, and you got it working. And same when you publish your package to like npm repository, the other guys or other teams do the same. Just it's treated like a normal package node module, like APM module, which is cool. Next one, clean imports with namespacing. So yeah, that's exciting. Lerna gives you that straight out of the box. So instead of having this list of components, for example, importing from some place, you will have namespacing by default. So it's very readable. You have a nice tree shaking also here, so it's slightly performant. It's much readable. You import what you want, so that's very cool. And the namespace here is like a name of my project, but it will not be at namespace at your live project because you name it your project in while you're doing Lerna init. So it may be like whatever / some package. Next thing, hell yeah, hot module reloading, which is very cool because thanks to this trick I mentioned you before, you can easily do HMR, which is hot module reloading, even if your components are outside. So you see the button component, which lies in a different folder up in the scope, is a separate package, and the React app is actually a separate package, but they sort of connected together. You get this refreshing, and it's all very quick, very nice. And that's the last one, the very important one, which is one source of truth. So all of your ESLint rules are in one place in the root scope, and all of these different packages using the same rules. You got your TypeScript config. So you remember we have extend in each type test file. So you get TypeScript config in one place for all of your project packages. You get TypeScript interfaces, which is actually a very cool approach, I think, to sort this out. So you can make a package, separate package for all of your interfaces, and you can share them, basically, because I guess somebody in your company would actually have the same interface problem before, or have the same type of data somewhere else, so you can share them, and they can use it, and you have it just in one place as a package. Test setup, yeah, I mentioned it. It's a jest and enzyme all in one place. All packages have the same setup. You change it in one place, and all packages are updated with the config. And Storybook and more add-ons. You can do whatever you want. Storybook config, more Webpack add-ons, or more, some crazy stuff, whatever you need, and it will work. Just place it in your root category and configure properly. Yeah, that's maybe like not a very good slide because you shouldn't be watching for a big companies using some stuff, right? You need to test it out by yourself, which I highly recommend. Just go test it. It's easy, it's free, it's open source. But still, it is using in production by Facebook, Twitter, Uber, Microsoft, very big companies successfully for some quite of time. And they love it because they use it, right? And here's the link I mentioned before ending. You can check it. It's a boilerplate. You can clone it and get it up and running in a second. It's a React app with all of this stack I mentioned. So you can dive into this code, see how it works, see how clean it is, how easy, how the file structure is very, very neat, and fiddle with it. So go check it out. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.